Welcome to the Larry King Now blog. We're continuing a very important discussion about orthorexia disorder. It's a panel that we've discussed with earlier in a great hour. Our panel of experts will now answer your social media questions. Jordan at Buff Vegzo on Twitter. Is there typically one life-changing event that leads someone down a righteous path of eating? Jordan, was there one for you?
There was one for me, but I think it's hard to say. Not everybody has one. For me, I was going through a breakup, and I was looking for something to latch onto. So I made this big diet change, and it was almost like a new relationship for me, this relationship with plant-based veganism that I could just dive into and be really passionate about, and that became the new thing for me.
Right. That's why you don't eat and pick a diet from an emotional standpoint.
Is it usually an event?
Yeah, and I would say, it depends on your age. When people are a little bit older, it's often a health scare that they, for example, if they had an issue with their heart and they said, well, Bill Clinton, who was very vocal about being a vegan, seems to have gone that route, so I'm going to try that too, and then it snowballs.
Right. I think it's tied into all of that, because for me it was for health as well, for the digestion problems that I had, so it was just kind of everything. But I think everyone has their tipping point, whether it be an event or some kind of, if they heard about someone else who it worked for, just some kind of tipping point.
Keen Dawson on Facebook. How young can someone begin exhibiting symptoms of a person suffering from orthorexia?
Well, I think at any age, really, but, probably around 6 or 7 when a child can start to make their own decisions. Yeah, absolutely.
7, you make your own decisions?
But I think
you have input and you try not to eat certain things. It all depends on IQ. Someone's IQ is really the predictor of how well and how aware they are of what's going on in their life and what they'll want to do and not.
And they hear what their parents are saying too, and so they think, oh, those are hydrogenated oils, those are bad.
Right.
But I would say they have to be a little bit older to really intellectually embrace the orthorexic, because we're focusing on food quality too, not just this is good, this is bad. It's about, so to understand issues like the chemicals in processed food, I think you need a little bit more maturity, probably.
Yes.
I would say early teens, where
Joe,
it really starts.
Joe Meekum on Facebook. If you think someone you know is suffering from orthorexia, how should you approach them?
Definitely talk to them, but it depends on the relationship. If it's a family member or somebody that you're close to, it's going to be tougher, but I think honesty is the best place to go, and they're not going to want to hear it, is the bottom line, because you're telling them something they don't feel good about, because they're going to have to let go of something that makes them feel good.
And they believe that they're doing something that's really, really healthy for their body, so there's probably going to be a lot of denial at first, but if they know that you love them and you're coming from a point where you're just worried and you want to have an open conversation, then I think it's really important that people who are suffering know that they have people they can go to who can listen and not just tell them what they think.
Excuse me. I think it's also important to let people understand it's not you're telling them they can never eat like that again.
Right.
It's just moderation.
And I think it's important, though, to focus on come at it from a positive standpoint. Like, I know you're really making an effort to eat healthy, but I've noticed that you don't have the energy in the morning that you used to a couple years ago. So kind of not attacking them per se, but maybe bringing them around to their desire to be healthy maybe isn't so healthy after all.
Talk from a strength-based place, what's good and what's really
Finally,
great.
Doug Gallagher on Facebook. Is it unhealthy to only partially adhere to a diet like veganism or paleo, or do you have to be 100% faithful to the diet in order to be successful?
Well, I mean, it depends on your definition of success, obviously, but absolutely this is what we've been talking about all along. I think there are wonderfully healthy components to both of those types of diets, but when you take them to too extreme, I think they become unhealthy. So I think do your best to find the right plan for you. Again, anytime you cut major food groups, unless you have a reason to, that makes me nervous. I mean, I respect the vegan platform where they're cutting it generally more for, ethical reasons, and that is certainly, and if you work with I think it goes back to working with a qualified healthcare professional. And I encourage you not to go to extremes, because we know extremes don't work in the short term or the long term.
Yeah, I think there's no point in labeling it if you're just going to do it partially.
Balance. It's all about balance.
There you go.
The
One other
balance
thing,
line.
Jordan, did you go back to that guy?
Go. No, he's done.
Thanks to my guests, Dr. Melina Jampoulos, Jordan Younger, and Dr. Charles Sophie, for answering your questions. Be sure to watch the full Larry King Now discussion on orthorexia by visiting the Larry King Now show page on Aura TV. Hey guys, Larry here. Thanks for watching me. Be sure to check out some of my other favorite Larry King Now moments right here and tune in to new episodes Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on demand on Aura TV and Hulu.